You can mute them now.
Yeah.
I started recording now.
Jai Baba, हाँ.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Rustam.
Jai Baba, Soumya.
Jai Baba ji.
Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. God is the only reality. All else that seems real is illusory. God and I are one. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba to all of you. Today is a beautiful day. One is the birthday of our very, very dear Nan Auntie, Nanny, Nan Kumrigar. To a very great extent, she is responsible for many, many, many people who are today on this group and elsewhere in the Baba circle. So let us first start the meeting with wishing her a happy birthday. So you can all unmute your mic and sing with your beautiful voice of birthday.
Arista, 1 second. Can I first share one thing and then we can
Yeah,
start singing?
please do that. Please.
Okay.
Jyoti has something
One
to
second.
share.
Yes.
Jyoti, go ahead.
Just a second. I'm just doing it.
Take your time. Oh, wow.
So beautiful.
Wow.
So
Happy
beautiful.
birthday.
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, Auntie.
Happy birthday to you.
Avatar Meher
Meher
Baba.
Baba.
Jai.
Jai Baba.
Fabulous.
Jai Baba. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Lovely, very
Baba
nice.
looks so fabulous. Thank you, Jyoti.
Thank you.
Wonderful collage. And this is Nanny on the horse, on a horse. She's so beautiful.
She
Jai Baba.
is, she is. Jai Baba Nanny. Once
Jai
again,
Baba
wish you a
Nanny,
happy
once
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Now we can mute the mics. Yeah, now we can mute the mics.
Happy birthday, Nana Auntie.
Yes,
Wishing
Nanny,
you
you want to say something? Please unmute your mic.
The mic is mute. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I'm so thrilled and so touched. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Baba. Happy birthday,
Happy
Nana
birthday,
Auntie.
Auntie. Happy birthday.
Jyoti, very good job. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, darling. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba.
The other important occasion today is that we are being visited by our sister whose name is Nisarga. Because Nisarga means nature and nature's father is Baba. Nature is created by Baba, obviously, and we are also all children of Baba. So we are also created by Baba. So Baba becomes the father of Nisarga and all of us. So after a long time, she's coming to visit us. So let us welcome her with an open heart, with love, and with namaste, and say, please go wherever you want to go after meeting us, and be happy. You know, after all, everything is controlled by Baba. Nothing can exist unless Baba is in that particular thing. Baba is in all our difficulties, all our problems. So we have to change our nazariya, our focus, our way of seeing things. And when we do that, again I repeat, when we do that, things do not change. Things will not change. But our perception towards the thing will change. And because our perception has changed, we will gain, we will benefit out of anything and everything that is happening in and around us, rather than feeling afraid or whatever, you know, jittery, what should I say, stressed out, anxious. instead of doing all this, we will be able to accept it in a positive light. Because everything that happens in and around us, around everybody and everything, has only but one purpose in life. One, and that is to help us to wean ourselves away from the false self and focus on our true self, so that one fine day we actually merge with our true self. So with that nazariya, with that bent of mind, if we accept and acknowledge everything that happens in our life, by and large we will remain in a state of equanimity, and by and large we will use those very moments to help us succeed. You must have known in the judo aspect, judo is jujutsu and all that, if the opponent is very heavy and very powerful, we use the same energy, the same power to topple him down, to upturn him. In other words, irrespective of what may seem very alarming, that same thing can help us to open the inner doors within us, so that we can go one notch to the truth, to the reality. Having said that, now we'll start with the reading. Page 51, the chapter is of the questions Meher Baba answered. The chapter is on keeping mind quiet, steady, and firm. What a beautiful subject on a beautiful day. Thank you.
Do not think much over petty questions and wear out your mind. This constant thinking weighs heavy on your mind and causes you much worry and anxiety for nothing. Do not let any material thoughts disturb your mind and eat it away. Do not be like a leaf of a tree moved here and there by the wind. Be like a rock, unaffected by gales and storms and standing firm in its place. What do you do when a fly troubles and disturbs you? You do not worry about it, but merely raise your hand and wave it to drive it away from you. In the same way, without giving yourself up to worry, you must drive away the thoughts that trouble you. Only stick to one thing, one eternal truth. Those who think about worldly matters only dream, as Vivekananda says, vacant dreams. The universe is nothing but a dream. It is unreal compared to the reality of truth God. Let truth be your goal. This truth, Paramatman, is nowhere to be searched for he is very near you. Nay, he is with you, within you. Seek him within you. You could easily see him, but for the four big devils who stand in your way and do not allow you to see him. They are egoism, karma, krodha, and lobha. Of the four, the greatest is egoism. It is the parent of all mischief. It is the lower self which governs you. Therefore, try your best to control and subdue it. The next greatest devil is karma or passion. The vulgar attraction for the opposite sex is pitiable. Consider all your women as your sisters, or all young women as your sisters, and all aged women as your mothers. You must neither act nor think lustfully. The last two devils are krodha or anger and lobha or avarice. To give yourself up to them means to drive yourself away from truth. Unless you master these four devils, there can be no hope for you to enter on the path. The Meher Message, Volume 2, Number 6, June 1930, pages 5 and 6.
Jai Baba. This is on page number 51. The chapter is on keeping mind quiet, steady, and firm. So I was just wondering what an apt subject to take on this day. And it was not pre-planned, it just came as we had as we are going forward. Most important thing Baba says is that a man lives his life in the mind. That means life is not the body, life is more in the mind. Number one. Baba also said that you become what you constantly think about. So, in other words, thoughts are also very important to what should I say, to shape us, to shape our life. If we are constantly thinking about our worries, about our difficulties, problems, troubles, etc., irritations, etc., etc., all these negative emotions, obviously, what will turn out is that you will lead and experience such a life. On the reverse side, if we are only thinking about positive, if we are if we have learned the art of taking everything in the positive light, to change everything in the positive light, then obviously, in spite of the fact that not so good things are happening out there, you can still live a positive life. Baba says, do not think much about petty questions and wear out your mind. Many of us, if you I'm sure if you observe yourself, myself, everybody, we are very seldom stationed or anchored in the present moment. If I were to give you, say, 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, keep your mind blank or think whatever you want to think randomly, 90% or even more of those thoughts would be either belonging to the past or to the future. Anxiety about the future, stress about the future, maybe planning about the future, concern about the future, or something about the past. Very seldom we are in the present moment, whereas actually life is present. Life is happening in the present moment. So here Baba says that, and again another thing is, okay, we have this constant habit of what we call as self-talk. We talk a lot with our own self. And when we talk a lot about our own self, generally, by and large, they are only about petty matters. They are not real substantial matters. They are all very silly, petty matters, but we do that. So Baba says, do not think much over petty questions and wear out your mind. The mind gets tired, the mind gets worn out, the mind gets heated because we are constantly thinking about such petty matters. This constant thinking weighs heavily on your mind and cause you much worry and anxiety for nothing. But same thing, Baba says that these petty matters, we just keep on thinking, we think in circle, and then again and again, again and again, again and again, we think about the same thing. It wears out our mind and it causes anxieties and worries for no reason at all, for nothing. Do not let any material thoughts disturb your mind and eat it away. We all know that materiality, matter, is only there in order to help the spirit to experience the final experience of Aham Brahmasmi. Matter as matter in itself has absolutely no value. Zero value. Matter as matter. Matter as an assistant, as an aid to the spirit, to enable it to know the answer to the real question. There it has a substantial meaning, but matter in itself has no meaning. But most of us, at most of the times, are only concerned with material thoughts. So your Baba says, do not let any material thoughts disturb your mind and eat it away. Eat it away means eat away the mind. Do not be like a leaf of a tree moved here and there by the wind. You know how the leaf will sway according to the direction of the wind. Baba says, be like a rock. Be like a rock, unaffected by gales and storms. and standing firm in its place. Today we were talking about the gale and the cyclone and all that. So Baba says, be like a rock. Because everything that is happening out there. Out there is nothing but matter. It is just a dream. It is there for you to witness. Do not associate yourself with it. Do not link yourself with it. Do not get entangled with it. It has to play its role according to the divine plan. It will play its role. You play your role. What? Use that as an as a instrument for your own growth. So in other words, we must learn the art of using each and every circumstances, each and every event, happening, occasion, occurrence in our life, around our life, in our environment for our own growth rather than being sucked into those environments. We get sucked into it. And instead of playing our role, we get into it, and then that is where the suffering or the whatever the negative emotions start. What do you do when a fly troubles and disturbs you? So Baba is equating a fly with all these things that are happening, the earthquake, the tsunami. What do? You just shoo it away. You don't think. I remember this very beautifully because Adi Kaka had Adi K. Irani, Baba's secretary, a long time disciple of Meher Baba. Once he had come to the center, I'm talking many years back, maybe 40, 45 years back. Then he gave a similar example about mind and how. He said, what do you do when a mosquito? You don't go into the interrogation, the research as to where did this fly come from? Is this fly a male or a female? And why did it sit on my nose and not on somebody's nose? What is it in my nose that has attracted the fly? And you go on and on and on, which is stupid, which is useless. You just shoo it away and the matter ends there. So in the same way, all happenings in our life should be shooed away in this sense, means do not go deep into it. If you have a lesson to learn from any incident, you do it. If you have a preparation to make, like how a lot of WhatsApp are coming, prepare for this, charge your this, all that, that's fine, that's excellent, that has to be done. No doubt about it. Be prepared, take care, take caution, everything. But don't get sucked into it. Once you are distanced, once you are distanced from the material world in the sense of proper knowledge, the knowledge being that this is there with one. Why this? In fact, Baba says the entire creation, the entire Srishti has but one purpose, and that is to help us to realize who I am. That's about all. So everything that happens in that Srishti is also having that function instead of getting sucked into it. So Baba says, what do you do when a fly troubles and disturbs you? You do not worry about it, but merely raise your hand and wave it to drive it away from you. In the same way, without giving yourself up to worrying, you must drive away the thoughts that trouble you. The thoughts which trouble you basically are in relation to self preservation, in a sense. I, my, me, and mine, everything about that. And now self preservation, which self? The false self. My house, my property, my car, my scooter, my this, my children, my mother, my all this comes under that. So what do? We are encouraging, we are getting associated more and more because of these troubled thoughts in the domain of illusion. Whereas Baba has come to extricate us, to bring us out of these aspects of materiality. Only stick to one thing, one eternal truth. Now, what is that one truth? The truth actually is each one of us. Now, when there's no other way to say us, that's why we are using the word we, because Baba says in one of the other messages that the oneness is so uncompromisingly one, that the truth of this oneness is so uncompromisingly one, that even to use the word we, that that we are all one, that not many we, is redundant actually. But for want of a better word, we use that. So Baba says only stick to one thing, one eternal truth. Those who think about worldly matters only dream, as Vivekananda says, waken dreams. Yesterday, we did a chapter on false waking dream. So this is the same thing that we are all dreaming, false waking. Baba Vivekananda uses the word vacant dream. It has no अस्तित्व, no matlab, no nothing. The universe is nothing but a dream. It is unreal compared to the reality of truth, God. The universe is a dream, but it is a significant dream. It is a dream through which we will awaken. We cannot awaken unless and until we are dreaming, right? So this dream is a very significant dream. It has its importance, not in and by itself or in and of itself, but it has its importance in the role that this dream is playing to awaken us. So we must use that dream, use every occasion in our life, use every instance, every occurrence to help us to gradually, slowly, step by step, awaken to the truth of our true being and not allow that dream to, uh, take us away or let we just get flown, just get sorry sweep us away. Very true. To sweep us away or to suck us into that dream. It is a dream. It's an important dream. It's a, what should I say? What is the word? Significant dream. It's a significant dream. It has to be given importance as a dream to enable us to awaken. Let truth be your goal. This truth, Paramatman, is nowhere to be searched for. For he is very near you. Nay, he is with you, he is within you. And to take it one step further, he is you in that sense. So Baba is saying that he's not only near you, he's with you, he's in you. Seek him within you. You could easily see him, but the four big devils who stand in your way and do not allow you to see him. Now, the truth is, you and I are nothing but God. That is the truth. But that God is covered, shrouded, enveloped by heaps and heaps, mountain heaps of samskaras or impressions or karmas or garbage. And they have four agents, what we call citadels. And they are, Baba says, egoism, kama, krodha, lobha. Egoism basically means that the ignorant feeling, thinking, and believing and acting as if I am separate from the others. Basically, here egoism means the false egocentric mind, the false mind or the ego mind. Kama is lust, is you can say passion. Krodha is anger, and lobha is avarice or greed. Of the four, the greatest is egoism. Sorry. No. Uh, uh, okay, but that is the other way around. Okay, Soumya is hinting me to even connect it with the different spheres or different worlds where Baba says that karma or passion or lust is connected with the pleasures of the senses and therefore it belongs to the gross, samvedna, feelings, sensation, gross. Then comes, here it is krodha, but Baba talks about lobha. Lobha, greed, is connected with the subtle, and the krodha, anger, is connected with the mental world. So, like that, these three major citadels or agents of Maya are covered by the gross, subtle, and the mental world. Baba doesn't say this here, he talks about this in the discourses. Of the four, the greatest is egoism. It is the parent of all mischief. It is the parent of all mischief. Basically, if egoism was not there, if separativeness was not there, if finiteness was not there, if ignorance that I am different from others was not there, obviously the other three would have no existence. I'm reminded of I've been repeating this very often. There was one Jnani. I don't know what would be his stature. He was called Nisarga. Now, coincidentally, he was also called Nisarga Datta. He was called Nisarga Datta Maharaj. He was called Nisarga Datta Maharaj. He was a Panpatti shopkeeper somewhere in I think Khetwadi Road, where our friend Sam Patel stays. You know, but he was considered as a jnani. He would be crowded with people who had a lot of intelligence, and he had a very deep, profound experience, knowledge, whatever. He has written a book. Obviously, the book is not in English translated, called "I Am That." It talks a lot about consciousness, Very beautiful book. I would call it an intoxicating book, like like the one which Baba had written, In God's Hand. In God's Hand is also a beautiful book, very intoxicating. You really go so deep into it. It's a fantastic book. If you get the time and the opportunity and the inclination, do read In God's Hand by Baba. Or Baba willing, we might even do it in one of these forums. We've done it in Bombay, we've done it in Pune. So let's see. Now, coming back to what we were, so Nisarga Datta was asked by someone that how come you got this knowledge, this profound, deep knowledge, when you are not lettered, you are not studied, you've not gone to school, you are just a panbiri shopkeeper. How is it that you got this knowledge? And there's a mic open. Katie, can you just please mute the mic? Katie Mystery.
1 minute, my mobile is not working.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Okay.
I don't know. 1
Okay,
minute.
no problem.
I'm leaving the minute. I'm leaving the minute.
Don't worry. Just be here. Don't worry.
Because of the storm, the power.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, I'll be muting it.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't mute, doesn't matter. Don't miss out on this Baba given opportunity. Let us all be together in this. All right. So Nisarga Datta, when he was asked, a superb reply that he gave was, "My master." So whosoever that master is, I don't recollect the name. My master told me. He is saying, my master told me that you are not this body. You are not this body. Dinesh's iPhone, could you please mute it? I think we should have a system. I think there is mute on entry. So when people enter a little late also, automatically it gets muted. Anyway, let us not distract ourselves. So he said that my master told me that I am not this body. That the master says, you are infinite and you are eternal. So his master told him that he is infinite and he is eternal. So because I had full faith in what my master told me, although his experience was not that, he says that I started believing in my master's words and I started behaving as if I am infinite and as if I am eternal. Now imagine, as if I am infinite means what? That he is in everyone and everything. I am eternal means what? I always was, am, and ever will remain. I will never go off the scene. I am always there. So when he started believing in his master's words and started thinking, speaking, and acting as if he is infinite and as if he is eternal, you can imagine that after a short while, he actually became that. Why? Because if he is infinite and eternal, where is the role playing for anger, for egoism, for anger, greed, lust, jealousy, pride, hatred, attachments? Where is the scope for any of these things to be exhibited? All these emotions to be exhibited in life? He cannot get angry on anybody because he is infinite. The other person is him only. He cannot have lusty thoughts about anybody because there is no one but him. He cannot be jealous of anybody because it is all him. So just imagine a simpleton, a simple, innocent person, Panvidiwala. So profound was his preparedness to accept the words of his master 100% and act on it, and he became a jnani. Do we have the courage and the wisdom to do that? When Baba keeps on saying, don't worry, be happy, do we ever do that? In a little split moment, we get worried, we get anxious, we get stressed out for anything. So that is the type of faith that is required for all of us. In our master's statements, when Baba has said something, finish. There is no question of argument, there's no question of anything. You just take it 100%. So coming back to our reading, Baba says that these are the four. It is the parent of all mischief. What? Egoism. That which makes us feel other than, separated from, different from the rest of the creation. It is the lower self which governs us. Therefore, try best to control and subdue it. Lower self is the self where we feel ourselves as not only other than, different, separated, but also low. And that I am so poor, I am so meek, I am so this, I am so that. That kind of thing also means lower self. I think we had done this aspect of lower self earlier in one of the sessions. The, the next devil is karma or passion. The vulgar attraction for the opposite sex is pitiable. Consider all young women as your sisters and all aged women as your mother. You must neither act nor think lustfully. Now, in somewhere else in the discourses, Baba explains why. Baba says that we have a whole panorama of samskaras to be experienced, a whole bunch. But we only bring a little bit for experiencing in this life. And only those samskaras take predominance and we experience that life. For example, it's like a buffet table where you have vegetarian, non-vegetarian, batata, whatever, batata, what is it, pav, whatever. Sev puri, this thing, that thing, Chinese, Punjabi, everything. But today I just feel like having some salads or something. What do I just pick up that, come to my table and eat that. So we have a whole lot of samskaras, but we only pick up something to be consumed, in other words, to be experienced in this particular life, in this particular body. Now, in this particular life and in this particular body, I have taken out certain samskaras which make me experience that I am a male. It's a male form. So I experience myself as a male human being. Now, in order to complete whole, I want to have somebody counterpart as a having female samskaras, and that is the genesis, that is the source of so-called sex attraction. Because I want to complete myself by associating myself with somebody who has the opposite samskaras of what my samskaras are, the male samskaras. Of course, there are certain tendencies when we say gay or lesbian and all that. So there we are not going into that because there is a little twist in those samskaras where you are attracted to similar aspects of the other person's samskara. So that I just address that as a sex attraction. The last two devils are krodh or anger and lobha or avarice. To give yourself up to them means to drive yourself away from truth. See, basically, when we say they are sins, what is a sin? Sin basically is nothing, according to me, my understanding, an attempt to let's say to satisfy myself, to make me feel comfortable, to give me some kind of a happiness in doing something. Yeah, correct. It's an active ignorance. I was just coming to that. Out of ignorance. And that is why Baba very beautifully says, that the act of forgiveness is already built into the act of sin. That means howsoever sinful we may be, Baba will always forgive us. There has never been a time, there is never a time, and there will never be a time when Baba will not lend his helping hand to pull us out of this so-called apparent sin. Because Baba does say at one point, Baba said there is no sin. There is no such thing. It is just an ignorant act that takes you farther and farther away from the truth. And therefore, they have just given a religious coloring so that you tend not to do that and tend to move forward towards the truth. Because the whole game plan is that we have to travel from unconscious divinity to conscious divinity. The consciousness is gained in the first human form, full consciousness. Now, the job of that consciousness, that form, which is a human form, is nothing more to gain. It's only to lose what I am not, to let go, to wean away, to just slice out what I am not. Like how a sculptor does something, he brings a stone and he just chips off the unwanted part, and the murti is self-evident. It is prakat inside the stone, but it was not visible because along with the murti there were many other chips. So the sculptor only chips away the unwanted portions of the stone, and the murti is there. He doesn't bring something from outside and sticks it on that. No, it's already there. In the same way, God, Paramatman, whatever you call it, is already there. But it is covered by a lot of other aspects, like this Baba talks about avarice and lobe and greed and egoism and karma. So all that has to become removed. And when that is removed, it prakats, I am God. But in the so-called involvement with sin, what do? You don't remove. You actually bring it from you. You actually make more and more of it. And therefore, Baba and all masters say the same thing, that your job is to remove it. And why do they say it is sinful? First of all, it is an act out of ignorance. It is an act in self-satisfaction. If supposing I am greedy and I sort of capture somebody's property, or I do something, or jealousy, I want to own somebody or something. What is that? That is all an act of ignorance in order to satisfy my false self. In other words, we are aggrandizing our false self. In other words, we are perpetuating the dream. And Baba doesn't want that. And that is why he says that we should go away from all these things, so that the more you are away, the better is your chance of getting closer and closer to the truth. So to give yourself up to them means to drive yourself away from truth. Unless unless you master these four devils, there can be no hope for you to enter on the spiritual path. Obviously, because when these devils are there, we are still so deeply enmeshed in gross consciousness. And as long as we are in gross consciousness, we cannot enter the first plane, spiritual plane, which is in the domain of the subtle world. Subtle means sukshma. We cannot enter there because my past, I don't have a green card to enter into some country because my past is something else. My past is gross. And because my past is gross, I cannot enter the subtle. As simple as that. So as long as you have mastered this, as long as you have eradicated, annihilated all these gross aspects of the samskaras, which again are in the domain of illusion, please understand that you will not get an entry into the spiritual path, which begins from the first plane of consciousness in the subtle world or subtle sphere. Here we end the first reading. It's from the Meher Message, Volume 2, Number 6, June 1930. That means what? 90 years. Today we are in June. 90 years back, Baba had given page numbers 5 and 6. Any questions on this, please? Anybody has any question? Otherwise, we'll move forward. That's great. Nobody has any questions. Excellent. So let's move forward. Yeah.
on how to dissolve the mind. There are three ways to bring about the complete dissolution of the mind or the annihilation of the lower self through the instrumentality of the mind itself. These three ways may be called: 1. The positive process, 2. The negative process, and 3. The turning process. 1. The positive process consists in spending away all the past sanskaras and thereby gaining mental freedom. The sanskaras cannot be spent away unless all the desires are satiated. Past sanskaras are the cause of present desires, and so if they are to be satiated as to destroy them, no new attachments will be formed, and besides, the past sanskaras will be wiped out. Sri Ramdas, before he realized God, destroyed his desire of eating porridge, of which he was very fond, by satiating it. He so much partook of it that he had to vomit it all out. He swallowed the vomited porridge and again it came out. 40 times he ate and vomited it, and thus his fondness for it was turned into dislike of it. It is not possible for all persons to gain mental freedom in this way. 2. The negative process.
Sorry. All right. On how to dissolve the mind. Dissolution of the mind, basically, or annihilation of the mind, actually leads to Manonash and therefore God realization. There are three ways to bring about the complete dissolution of the mind or the annihilation of the lower self through the instrumentality of the mind itself. So this is very important, that we have to annihilate the mind through the instrumentality of the mind itself. You cannot let go of the mind all by itself or by some other extraneous equipment. These three ways may be called the positive process, the negative process, and the turning process. 1. The positive process consists in spending away all the past samskaras and thereby gaining mental freedom. We must understand that samskaras are the building blocks of our physical body. Just like if you have to construct a building, you require, let's say, bricks, cement, water, some cement blocks, whatever. So unless and until the material is there, the building cannot be constructed. So as long as the samskaras remain, we will continue to get one body after the another, one body after the another. The day when all the samskaras are annihilated, annulled, finished, expended, spent, experienced, then no further bodies, no further reincarnation. You merge with God. You either become God realized or you merge with Him in mukti or moksha. So here Baba says the positive process consists in spending away. Spending away means what? Experiencing all our desires to such an extent that we get so satiated with the desires that we say, I don't want it anymore. You just overdo the spending of those samskaras by experiencing those desires at a time when you say, I just don't want any more of this. But of course, I don't know whether Baba says, of course, later on, that it is very well nigh impossible in doing this. Why? Because as you are experiencing the past desires are being spent, which means liquidated, reduced, used up. Okay, balanced. But simultaneously, If you think that I am doing it, you are also acquiring fresh, similar samskaras. So it's like a vicious circle. You just can't get out of it. But now let's see what Baba has to say. The samskaras cannot be spent away unless all the desires are satiated. Satiated, you know what is saturation. You know, sir. Saturation means there's no further scope of enjoying those desires. Past sanskaras are the cause of present desires. Very beautiful. Why, in the first place, we get a particular desire? It is because of past samskaras. How did the past samskaras come about? Because of my actions in the past. So I did some action, they impressed some samskaras in my mind, in my mental body, and because they impress those samskaras, they form the nucleus or the starting point of fresh desire, and that will keep on rotating. I've given this example and I keep giving this example many times. My dear friend Sam, all of you know Sam Patel, and I have been walking somewhere, in Kolaba area one fine evening, and just a story to explain what Baba is trying to say. And there was a board called Rustomji Beer Bar. So it is just a board. What is it? It is just made out of a tin sheet, some iron sheet, and there is some painting on it, and there is some writing on it, and the writing reads Rustomji Beer Bar. Now we both are seeing it. Now Sam is a teetotaler. He has never touched a glass of whatever drinks to his lips, never in his life. So he does not have any samskaras of what it is to enjoy a drink. When I say a drink, I don't mean watermelon juice. I mean a brandy or a whiskey or a rum or whatever, gin or whatever it is. He has never tasted. And because he has never tasted, he doesn't know what maja it is, what fun it is to have a drink. And therefore, he does not have any samskaras of those drinks. And therefore, he does not have any desire of entering into that shop, the beer bar, and having a drink. One. On the other hand, I am with him, and I am not a teetotaler. I am the other totaler, you see. And so I enjoy drinks. So now what happens? Try to understand. I have already the germ of a desire in my mind because I had already taken drinks in the past, and I have experienced how light-hearted we feel, how we forget about our wives and husbands and mother-in-law. It's a very elated state of consciousness, blah, blah. Just joking. My wife is sitting next to me. And so also my mother-in-law. So here what happens is, because I had past experience, there were the samskaras, and those samskaras started propping up, like jumping up like a frog. I want to have a beer, I want to have a beer, I want to have a beer. Why? Because those desires are there, the samskaras are there. So in other words, what Baba is trying to say is that desires are the outcome of past samskaras. If past samskara was not there in me also, we would have just bypassed that shop and nothing would have happened. But I was agitated. I was so uttejit in a sense. I just was restless to go in and have a drink. That is a desire because of my past samskara. Whereas Sammy did not get anything. Why? Because there was no past samskara. So in other words, what Baba is trying to say is that whatever each one of us are desiring is because of our past samskara. And therefore, if you spend it thinking I am spending it, yes, on one hand, you have discharged it. Let us say hypothetically, 100 units of those samskaras, desire, any desire, let it be any desire. When I am indulging in those desires, I am spending 100. But in return, what have I got? I have accumulated 110. You see? So in other words, they keep on rotating unendingly unless and until I am being honestly honest and sincerely sincere in genuinely thinking that I am not doing this. It is Baba who is drinking through me. Honestly, if I really and honestly do it, I'm not just confining it to drinking anything. It is Baba who is doing through me. Then, on one hand, there is a discharge of my accumulated samskaras. On the other hand, earlier on, I had said about the formula of how samskars get uh, what should I say, constructed or accumulated. Since I am not there, my Abhiman, Kartutva Abhiman, doership, Karta is not there, what will happen is on one side it is spent, on the other side it is not accumulated, and gradually over a long period of time, all my gross samskaras will be absolutely annihilated, and I will enter into the so-called spiritual path, which is the first plane of consciousness, provided I do that with absolute sincerity that it is Baba who is doing it, and I leave the results to Baba, not agitated, not wah 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 wah, or not kya ho gaya. No, no, neither praise nor the so-called negative emotion should be there. Then and only then the samskaras will be spent. Coming back to our reading, past samskaras are the cause of present desire. From that one sentence, we went to Kolaba and had a drink and came back. Past samskaras are the cause of present desires, and so if they are so satiated, the source as to destroy them, with so excessively satiated, I keep on drinking, 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 drinking. I feel so nauseatic. I vomit, and that how Baba said, I drink that again, and I vomit, and I drink. Then the entire desire is finished. The very thought of it is so nauseating. Are so satiated as to destroy them, no new attachments will be formed. And besides, the past sanskaras will be wiped out. So you have to do it to the extreme. Sri Ramdas, before he realized God, destroyed his desire of eating porridge, of which he was very fond of which he was very fond, by satiating it. He so much partook of it that he had to vomit it out all. He swallowed the vomited porridge and again it came out. 40 times he ate and vomited it, and thus his fondness for it was turned into dislike of it. It is possible for all persons to gain mental freedom in this way. Let me interject over here. All these discourses are there, they have absolute wisdom. But above all this, Baba has said time and time again, is love. Love liquidates everything else. So love is such a, what should I say, a substance that we need. What I'm trying to say is we need not go. This is my personal view on this. We need not do all these things. We simply love Baba, simply remember him, simply hold on to his daman with both hands, and then he will take us from where we are to where we should be. But here, for knowledge sake, Baba did give a lot of discourses, and Baba did say, this is what I got to know from Don Stephen, that they are there, they are there for posterity. But now, while I am in your midst, that is when Baba was physically present. Now, when I am in your midst, and a few years thereafter, love is the main pathway. Love is the expressway. Just focus on Him with love. Absolute faith, absolute love, absolute dependence on Him, absolute resignation to Him, absolute no complaint about what we are going through. Just holding on to Him, I think, would be the surest, safest, quickest way to reach Him. But now that, and Baba did say that there's no need for people to do all these things right now because this is the autaric period. In autaric period, you need not do all these things. But maybe after a few hundred years, people may read this and they may apply these techniques in order to overcome the mind. So now we come to the negative process.
The negative process consists in self-denial, that is, neither fulfilling old desires nor forming new ones. The normal fulfillment of old desires results in the formation of new sanskaras which engender new desires. So, one must follow the denial course in order to gain liberation. Arab Shah Wali, a well-established Mohammedan saint, one day felt the desire for sexual intercourse. He took recourse to a strange method in order to deny his desire. He picked up a big stone and with it he crushed his private organ, which became impaired for good. As he did not try to alleviate his pain, it gave no opportunity to his mind to think of sexual intercourse any longer. Of course, this is an extreme case of self denial, but even ordinary self denial can be practiced by only a few persons. Number three, the turning process is the best and safest way to gain mental freedom. It consists in turning the mind away from worldly things and directing it towards spirituality. This can be done by selfless service, tapas, constant prayer, and last but not least, satsang. The Meher Message, Volume 3, Number 1, January 1931, pages 2 and 3.
So now we'll go to the next two methods. One, Baba says the negative process, which consists in self-denial. That is neither fulfilling old desires nor forming new ones. See, when you deny yourself any of the desires, then what happens out of sheer neglect over a long period of time, it just vanishes because of course then it's something like a battery. If you put a cell in your torch and then put the torch on, the cell will be exhausted or utilized very fast. But if you put your battery in the a cell, that is whatever, in the torch and don't use it, even then, over a long period of time, it gets drained out. You see? So in the same way, when you do not put your desires into action over a long period of it, but it takes a very, very long time. So here the normal fulfillment of old desires result in the formation of new samskaras that we all know, which engender new desires. So one must follow the denial course in order to gain liberation. Now, this is an example which Baba gives, and Baba himself says that is a very extreme example. Uh, Arab Shah Wali. Wali basically would mean a person on the fifth plane of consciousness. A well advanced Mohammedan saint one day felt the desire for sexual intercourse. He took recourse to a strange method in order to deny his desires. He picked up a big stone and with it crushed his private organ, which became impaired for good. As he did not try to alleviate his pain, it gave no opportunity to his mind to think of sexual intercourse any longer. There was one other example which Baba had given, I forgot the name of the saint, where when he sees a beautiful woman and he gets some lusty thoughts and he he pokes his eyes, he takes two iron rods and then he heats it over coal, garam, and then he pierces both his eyes with that so that he turns blind and so that he is not able to see that beauty and such thoughts would never. But these are all extreme thoughts and behavior. Personally, I feel that Baba, this is just for example that Baba has given, and I don't think, this is my take, I don't think Baba would be happy if any of us resort to such extreme behavior. The best would be, as I said, to keep Baba as constant companion, to keep loving him, keep depending on him, keep relying on him in that way. Of course, this is an extreme case of self-denial, but even ordinary self-denial can be practiced by only a few persons. It is very difficult to deny a desire because desire is nothing but an energy. And since the samskaras are there in one of my earlier sessions we had done, that because the samskaras are there, the environment gets created in such a manner that it gives impetus to those samskaras to be fulfilled, be it anger, be it greed, be it jealousy, be it anything. The samskaras create the environment, the what should I say, the field, the ground for those samskaras to be expanded and experienced. So it's very difficult for normal people to even uh, deny those desires. Third point, the turning process is the best and safest way to gain mental freedom. Turning process means turn away from those thoughts. Involve yourself in some other positive spiritual thoughts. It consists in turning the mind away from worldly things and directing it towards spirituality. This can be done by selfless service. These are the ways. When you do selfless service, there is very little time, very little inclination for you to think about the fulfillment of your own personal desire, because your focus is on really selflessly helping somebody. In tapas, then you do tapa. Then also in constant prayer, by constantly praying, by constantly repeating Baba's name, by then that the mind gets automatically directed towards that, and to that extent we are turning the mind away from materiality. And last but not the least, satsang. What are we doing all these days? 1 hour every day in the evening. Basically, this is nothing but satsang. It is a sung of the Sat. Sat means the truth. That means we are all together in trying to imbibe the truth. But the truth cannot be imbibed in the sense brought from outside. The only way the truth can manifest itself is by removing gradually over a period of time those portions which form the untruth. So what we are not, we just have to keep removing those portions from what we are plus the kachra. In other words, the kachra. So here ends our today's session. The Meher message, volume 3, number 1, January 1931, page number 2 and 3. Yeah, sure. So now, Jyoti, now from my side, from our side, anyway, first of all, anybody has any questions on this particular chapter? Not any, yes, yeah, please. I'll do that. Yes? Anybody, no question. Wow. So everybody has now.
No, no. I don't have a question. I don't
Okay.
have a question, but I do have a comment when you said about Sam Patel,
Yes.
being teetotaler. If you can make him a teetotaler, if you can make him a teetotaler, you can make me a pope.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody?
No,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
When you say about, like, just as this example which you also gave, as supposing it's a samskara of drinking, yeah, and if there is, like, maybe when I come from a Punjabi family, and drinking is like it's birthright for the guys in our houses, but then after which it's a lot of other unwanted situations created, okay, which indulge into so many things. And today when I sit back and see certain things, according to me they are the wrong, or the, you know what I mean to say. It's like,
I do
how do
understand.
you
Yeah.
deal with that? How does a family deal with that? And how do you, if supposing somebody doesn't really believe in Baba and the ways and the understanding of
First of all,
even the karmas in that manner,
okay.
so in this sense, how does this particularly work?
See, the idea when I gave the example, it does not give a license to indulge. I just gave an example that desires are sprouted, or the beginning point of desires are the past samskaras. And when you indulge into desires, you strengthen that group or element of samskaras. So that is why Baba says that you have to come. That is why Baba keeps on saying desirelessness, desire only for desirelessness. So by no stretch of imagination, we are advocating desires to be indulged in. Unless you do it the first method, that means you indulge so much that you get fed up, satiated. That is one thing. Now, so far as what you are saying, this is a common feature with many families where some people are, addicts, and there's nothing much you can do. All I could suggest is that you go. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it is there in your family. I'm just saying it generally. You have to take professional help, either through Alcoholic Anonymous or through counseling or through inter discussion with the family, trying to dissuade the other person from doing what it is not just restricted or to drinking. It could be any behavior which could be very distressing to the other members of the family. See, at
Yeah.
the end of it, yes, correct, I agree. That's the only way out. Counseling, take medical help, take psychoanalysis, whatever needs to be done. That's the only way out. On this platform, we cannot say as to what is to be done. If you want, you can call me on a personal call. Maybe we could
I'll do
discuss
that.
at length.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll
But
do that.
the
Yeah.
point is, we cannot do anything unless the person himself or herself understands that that person is a cause of too much of trauma to the
Yeah.
other members in the family.
Yeah, I actually just put this question up because it's a very recent, like it's recently being faced
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
very
Okay. Let me go through
horrible
the
way.
chat.
So,
I think somebody has asked
no
something.
problem. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Ruby.
What does
Sanskaras are gender specific.
Samskaras are not gender specific? No. Samskaras are connected with the mind, and mind is, see, basically gender specific. If you say in this gender as a male, let us say, maybe yes, my certain samskaras which I have brought, that's what I said, whatever samskaras that I have brought to be expended. So in that sense, it is yes. In that sense, it is yes. But then in the next birth, if I take a next birth, which I don't want to, because I want to remember Baba and just push off myself. What I'm trying to say, in my next birth, supposing I become a female, then my samskaras are of a different style, and then my desires would be quite different. You see? So yes, in that sense, yes, but gender again is a very illusory, temporary aspect. That I am a male is just a temporary aspect of this life, 50, 60, 70, whatever that, right? So that way. But please do ask questions. Achha, before we forget, tomorrow is Thursday. Sam Patel, I think, is leading tomorrow's session, or maybe Jimmy Khan is going to continue from his last session. I really do not know. But just a reminder that tomorrow also is a session. Now, yeah, now Jyoti, you take over. Sam, would you
Yes,
like
sir.
to say something? Okay, fine. So from our side, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jyoti takes over. Jyoti, take over. Jai Baba dear.
Just a second.
Thank you
I'll
for
put
this
Nan
session. Thank
Auntie's
you, Jyoti.
video.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Can we all start singing for her? Nan Auntie, you can cut the cake.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nancy.
Happy birthday to you.
Loads of love from all of us.
Nanny, can you hear me?
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, everyone.
Nan Auntie, feed us.
Everybody open your mouth.
Yes,
Everybody Jai Baba. Thank you, Nanny.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Nan Auntie. Thank you, Jess. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Jai
Happy
Baba.
birthday.
Thank
Jai Baba.
Happy birthday, Jai
Have the
Baba.
God.
Jai Baba.
Thank you,
Piece
Cyrus.
cake. Take a piece.
Yum.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Baba,
Baba.
everybody.
See you tomorrow.
Jai Baba,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you, Mr. Kambata. Jyoti.
Happy birthday, Nananti.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nananji.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Nananji.
And healthy.
Jai Baba Datta.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Rakesh, do you have the God speaks today?
Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.
Rakesh.
Yes,
Rakesh.
we have.
But we
Today
don't have.
Wednesday.
You not put up the password.
Today is Wednesday. Sorry, today is Wednesday. You have God Speak session right after yours. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, thank
you don't
you.
have the password to log in.
There.
You just
Check
send
it.
now. Okay.
Rakshita, I'm
No.
ending. I'll end the meet. So you all can
please
go
send,
for
please.
God speak. Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai
Thanks.
Baba, Nana Aunty.